Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Academy on Air on the new AdWords Experience. My name is John Michael Durkin. I'm a global product lead here at Google working on the AdWords interfaces. Today, we're going to be talking about the new AdWords Experience. And if this is your first time on a Partner Academy, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have a great session today, kind of giving you guys an introduction to the new AdWords Experience. We're going to talk about the ways that you can save time and get more done with faster access to what you've used in AdWords to date. And we're going to talk about some ways to gain actionable insights with new graphs and reporting tools. Just a note, we have one more session planned next week. We're going to be using that time to really dive into some of the exclusives in the new AdWords Experience and talk a lot about what's moved and where so that you can kind of get your grip on the new UI as you get in there and play around. Just a note, we did a similar webinar like this back in May when we were just beginning to roll the new UI out to a customer base. Some of this is duplicative, but we are going to go a little bit deeper today in the live demo. So I'm going to really take you in and help you understand some of the navigational precepts and what's going on in the UI. But before we get started with that, I just want to chat a little bit about why we've decided to roll out a new UI. It's hard to believe, but it has been 8 years since we last redesigned the AdWords Experience. If you think about the 8 years that have passed in that time period and think back to where you were in 2009 and what you were doing, I'm sure it's a struggle to even remember that far back. You think about the world of marketing, and you can understand how much has changed and how dramatic that change has been. So in those 8 years, we've had a proliferation of smart devices. We have touch phones. We have tablets, we have multiple laptops and computers in our lives, and people are really using those things. And if you think back to yourself in 2009, you probably had a flip phone, maybe you had a BlackBerry, or maybe you had a very early version of the iPhone. But now you think about how integrated that phone is in your life and how much it's changed the way that you interact with different brands, different products, and how you purchase things. And the key is that users have changed as well. Users want us to deliver what they're looking for in the exact moment and in the exact way that they need it. So as you think about your day-to-day, you think about the shopping that you did, or you think about the service that you were looking up, you want to make sure that your ads are being served in as relevant a way as possible. And consumers expect that helpfulness and that relevance. And that's why we've designed and introduced the new AdWords Experience. So the new AdWords Experience is a fast, modern, and visual interface that is meant to make it easier for you to use and more focused on your business. And so today we're going to walk through a little bit of creating new campaigns. We're going to talk about ways that you can save time. We're going to talk about those actionable insights. And like I said, on the next session, we're going to talk about the access that you've received to new features that are exclusive to the new AdWords Experience. We're going to do all this in a live demo, which I think is pretty brave. Most people said, don't do the live demo. Don't do the live demo. If it goes wrong, you're going to be really embarrassed. I have faith in our product that it's going to pull through. I do just want to note here I'm working on a Chromebook. So the Chromebook is a little bit slow, so it might be slow to respond, but stick with us, and we'll get through it together. Before we dive into the live demo, I do just want to talk about how you can switch between the new AdWords Experience and the previous AdWords Experience with ease. Some of you might have already received access to the new AdWords Experience. And when you received that email, it likely led you to a link which you could directly go into the new UI from. Some of you might log in and actually just see the invitation to try the new experience. Now, there's two key ways that you can access the new UI. The first is through the gear icon in the upper right-hand corner of the previous AdWords Experience. You can see there it says, try the new AdWords. The other is through the little blue bar in the lower right-hand corner, offering the ability for you to click to try the new AdWords Experience. Now, if you've already dismissed that option, it shouldn't reappear. You can go ahead and just go back in through the gear icon at any time. Once you're in the new UI, you can also switch back at any time. So the new AdWords Experience is still in beta. We're still working on a number of features and launching features as we go. So there are many reasons that you might want to switch back. Maybe you just need to be very quick and efficient, and you haven't spent a lot of time in the new UI. While I would encourage you to learn things and sort of get your feet under you in the new UI, feel free to switch back. And the way to do this is through the three-dot menu in the new AdWords Experience. You can see here, you just click Return to the previous AdWords. A couple notes on availability before we dive into the UI and actually go through the demo. We do plan to make the new experience available to all advertisers and customer IDs over the course of 2017. The new experience is not going to impact any kind of ad serving, the API, or AdWords Editor. So if you're using those tools and you're familiar with them, they should continue to function as normal. And the invitations for the new experience are being sent out based on a number of factors, including the actual features that you're using in your accounts. So we want to make sure that when you get access to the new UI, you have the ability to do all of the things that are important for you. We don't want to push you in there before you're ready. Now, some accounts will automatically be in the new experience when you sign in. This is a process we call defaulting in. When you log in for the first time, you'll land in the new AdWords experience, while others of you will just see a message to try it out. Again, that's the blue bar in the lower right-hand corner. And throughout the rollout, you can easily switch back to the previous AdWords experience as needed. Like I said, it may be a function of time for you. It may be that you can't find the feature that you're looking for, or the feature just might not be available yet. So feel free to switch back at any time. The previous AdWords experience is not going away. And lastly, before we dive into the demo and talk about some of the navigation stuff, please give us your feedback. Like I mentioned, the new AdWords experience is in beta. You can provide feedback at any point during this time by going to the help icon in the upper right-hand corner of the screen and choosing the leave feedback option. I'll walk you through doing this later on in the demo. So with that, we've got a real packed agenda. We're going to do about 40 minutes of live demoing in an actual account with data. And then we're going to take questions at the end. So please give questions. Please submit questions through the stream. And I'll be taking those at the end, as many as I can get through. So let's go ahead and switch over to the live demo. I'm just going to give my screen here a quick refresh so that any timeout that has occurred is wiped away. Alrighty, so we're in the new UI. We're going to start out just before we dive into the navigation by actually practicing that switching back and forth between the previous AdWords experience and the new. So again, we're in the new UI, so we can just navigate up here to the three-dot menu. We can click and drop down the three-dot menu options and choose Return to Previous AdWords. What that's going to do is take us right back to the previous AdWords Campaign Management tab here. And we'll see the AdWords that we've all been familiar with for the past 8 years. Now, you'll notice in the lower right-hand corner, we do have that Get More Done, Try the New AdWords Faster bar, that blue invitation to try. Rather than click on that, though, I'm actually going to jump up here to the gear icon and Get More Done and try the Faster AdWords this way. So those are the switching mechanisms. Very easy to understand and very, very easy to find your way back and forth. Now, the very first time that you log into the new AdWords experience, you're going to get what we call an in-product navigation guide that actually walks you through many of the things that we're going to cover today. I do just want to show you how to trigger that guide at any point so that in the future, if you need a refresher on what we're going through here, you can find it. So in order to find that, just head up to the question mark icon, the help icon, and choose Launch In-Account Guide. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring up that prompt. It's 5 steps. It's very brief, but if you read through it, you'll get some great tips on how to navigate faster. I'm going to skip through this because we're going to talk about it. And close. All right. So that's switching. It's also a little bit of informational guide for you. Let's talk about navigation. Now, the new AdWords experience sort of flows left to right. We worked really hard with advertisers like yourselves and partners like yourselves to gain feedback throughout the building of this product. And so we've actually designed it based on the workflows that we've seen and understood from our many advertisers. So we'll talk from left to right. And if there are any questions, again, submit them throughout the presentation, and I'll do my best to go back and answer them at the end. So on the left-hand side, you have what we call the navigation bar. Now, the navigation bar is sort of the high-level account navigation menu. You can think about this menu as helping you navigate the account to certain campaigns or certain types of campaigns. And you can also think of it as a way to scope what you see in the rest of the page. Now, what I mean by that is that basically the options that we choose here will impact the options that we have available to us in the center of the page or on the right-hand side of the page. So as an example, next to all campaigns, you'll notice that we have two icons. We have a three-dot icon, which when we open up allows us to show paused or removed campaigns. And we have a little drop-down here that allows us to actually view certain groups of campaigns. Now, in this account, I actually don't have any grouped campaigns. But you can imagine a world where maybe we had a brand split and a performance split, and we wanted to group the campaigns and understand the performance differently through those groups. So we could filter here to see that quite easily. In this case, we'll go back to all campaigns. And just to demonstrate here, I'll click Show Paused. Now you'll be able to see that all of a sudden in this navigation page menu, there are about 30 other test campaigns that we've created over time. So this can be a little bit confusing, so we'll go ahead and hide it. And the other part of the scoping conversation is really talking about the different campaign types that exist. So in the new AdWords experience, we have search campaigns, display campaigns, shopping campaigns, and video campaigns. By clicking on any one of these four icons, we will scope the rest of AdWords to just show us that particular type of campaign. So for instance, if we click search campaigns, you'll see that actually right now we don't have any enabled search campaigns in the CID. We'll be fixing that as we move on. If we click on display campaigns, you'll see just the two display campaigns that we have. And if we click on video campaigns, we'll see just the two video campaigns that we have. I'm sorry, the 5 video campaigns that we have. Now, the other thing that you might be noticing as we interact with this navigation bar is that the options that are in the skinny nav or page menu here are changing as well. So when we click on search campaigns, you can see that we can see our keywords, our audiences, our demographics, and placements. These are things that are relevant to our search campaigns. When we click on our display campaigns, all of a sudden we have a couple of other options, things like placements and topics. In shopping campaigns, we have product groups. And in video campaigns, we have videos. So you can see and understand how we're trying to surface relevant information to you in the page menu at the right time in your account. Now, there are a couple of callouts that I want to just make on this page menu. We've thought hard about how we can really bring key features and functionality to the top menu so that you have to do less clicking through different hierarchical views inside of AdWords. So a couple of cool things that I think are pretty neat. You can see that in the page menu here, we have locations, ad schedule, and devices, bid adjustments. So at any point, we can pop into our location bid adjustments, add a new targeted location, and increase the bid adjustment as needed, or decrease it. We can do the same thing for ad schedule, wherein we add different times or edit the ad schedule. And we can do the same thing for our devices, be they mobile, computer, tablet. There's also one more tab here called the Advanced Bid Adjustment tab. This is brand new in the new AdWords experience. We're going to be talking about this during our next session around one of the new types of bid adjustments that we have, call bid adjustments or interaction bid adjustments. And one of the other things that we've brought to the top level in the page menu is the change history. So the change history was previously in the tools menu in the previous AdWords experience. If you click into change history, you'll see actually that we've revamped the experience as a whole. So we had heard from advertisers and customers alike that the change history was a little bit difficult to navigate from time to time. So what we wanted to do was make it easier to filter across different time periods. So you can see that at the top level, we have top-line filtering mechanisms. Anything from basic account changes to ad changes to budget changes and bid changes. And when we click into these change types, the change history that you're shown will actually be modified to those types of changes. So this is the high-level filtering. We have maintained at the same time the ability to filter on a more granular level based on all of the filter settings that you had before. So it should be quite easy to understand here, hopefully. But you can filter on item changed, tool, history, user, change type, ad group, or campaign. And again, you could scope directly to the campaign on the left-hand side if you were just interested in seeing change history for a particular campaign. Let's go ahead and change back to our, actually, we'll leave it at all time. One other page that I want to call out here is the opportunities page. So the opportunities page was previously a top-line tab as well. Opportunities, in this case, we don't have any in the account because we're not currently running advertisements. But the opportunities that you'll see here are being surfaced through a series of intelligent logic to help you drive better campaign performance. Everything from keyword suggestions to certain types of extensions that you don't have on your ads or campaigns today. And we'll talk later about how these opportunities also are rolled up into manager accounts in the new AdWords experience. So those are the two basic menus that you'll want to interact with inside of the new AdWords experience. I do just want to talk a little bit about a couple tips that I have to make things a little bit easier to see and work with. So we've heard from some advertisers that the new UI feels a little bit crowded from time to time. I think that's fair, especially if you're using a lower resolution screen. It is definitely the case that the UI, although more visually pleasing, is also a little bit crowded. So let's pop into some of our keywords. And I'm just going to show paused campaigns in this case so that I can actually get some search campaigns going here. Now, on our Keywords tab, we can see all of the information as we had before. And we have a new table structure. So we can actually click and drag to expand and view different columns more easily. So in this case, you can see some of the keywords get cut off. But if we wanted to expand the column here, it would be very easy to do. Maybe, though, there's not quite enough room on the screen to see all the columns that you care about. In this case, what we can do is we can actually shrink the navigation bar just by clicking Hide Navigation Panel here in the upper left-hand corner. That should allow you to have a lot more screen size. One of the other key features is that we are now surfacing the individual pages within each page at the top level. So on search keywords, for example, we can come and easily add new keywords. We can add display or video keywords, negative keywords. We can do a search terms report or an auction insights report right here from this menu. And let's talk a little bit about some of these icons, because I think they can be a little bit confusing if you're not too familiar with them. So there are 3 icons at the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Actually, there are 4 if we count the 3-dot menu. There's the filter icon on the left-hand side, which allows you to filter your keywords or whatever page you're looking at based on all of the same filters that you've had historically. There's this sort of circle icon, which allows you to segment your table. And then there's the column modification here. So you can click into Modify Columns, add in the different columns that you care about, and also continue to save your column set as you have in the past. The last point here is the 3-dot menu. The 3-dot menu is going to allow you to download the views that you have set up, and also allow you to show or hide pause things. Copy and paste functionality also works. Now, there's one more cool visual tweak here that we've got, and that's an actual chart on performance. So this is shown by default, but it was hidden here when I got into the view in the first place. So the chart is going to show us our performance of these keywords over time. We can tweak the metrics that we see just by clicking on the metric. We can also expand the chart out to be the full page. Or as it was shown at the outset, we can actually hide the chart. So using these like view and hide levers, you should be able to navigate within the UI and feel comfortable with the amount of space that you have to do what you need. So that's it for navigation. I'm going to expand the navigation bar out here. Navigation in terms of the nav bar and the page menu, allowing you to get through your different campaigns. But what I want to talk about now is the 3-dot menu. I gave you a sneak preview of this when we switched between the old AdWords experience and the new AdWords experience. The 3-dot menu here expands from the upper right-hand corner, and it contains all kinds of tools and shared library settings that you might have been familiar with historically. So from left to right, you have planning tools like Keyword Planner and a new and improved ad preview and diagnosis tool. You have a shared library of things like your audience manager, portfolio bid strategies, negative keyword lists, etc. All of your bulk actions like rules, scripts, and uploads. Measurement settings to create new conversions or set up conversion tracking or look at your attribution modeling. And also all of the key account settings that you might care about, things like billing and payments, business data links that you have, account access, linked accounts, and preferences. Now, a note on some of these things, I mentioned a couple times that the new AdWords experience is still a beta experience. We're working on rolling out all of the features that are available in AdWords 3 into the new AdWords experience. You can see here that some of these links have little pages, little squares pointing outwards. These are what we call deep links back to the previous AdWords experience. So for instance, if you wanted to access your search attribution tab, that's a feature that's not yet available in the new AdWords experience. If we click onto it, you'll see that it'll open in a new tab in the previous AdWords experience. You can do whatever work you care about. So maybe you wanted to go to a cross-device report, see how the conversions are doing. We don't have any conversions in this account. We would go ahead and check things out, and then exit the tab, and you're directly back into the new AdWords experience on the page that you were before. So hopefully these deep links allow you to continue to process and leverage the new AdWords experience before we have 100% of the features rolled out. But again, if you ever get caught or stuck and can't find what you're looking for, feel free to just switch back over. One last cool navigation tip before we dive into some campaign creation and reporting. There are keyboard shortcuts in the new AdWords experience. So what I mean by this is that when you're in AdWords, you can actually type shortcuts on your keyboard to get to different pages. The most helpful shortcut is the question mark. So when you type a question mark on the keyboard, you'll get a list of the available shortcuts to go directly to different pages. So for instance, GC will take you directly to campaigns. GA will take you to ads. GX to extensions, so on and so forth. There's one particularly cool shortcut, though. It's GT, which stands for Go To. And when we type GT, it opens up a search bar within AdWords that we can use to type and navigate to a page that may not have a direct shortcut. So let's say that we wanted to find the audience manager. So we just type audiences, and we can see that audience appears here. We'll hit, we can see it's like lightly gray and selected, so I'll just hit enter. And that's going to take me directly to that audiences tab within the UI. Pretty nifty. We're going to continue to add new shortcuts over the course of the coming months. And just a note on those shortcuts, they do only work for static pages within the new AdWords experience. So you can't search for a certain campaign, a certain ad group, a keyword, or anything like that. It has to be an actual page that is established within the UI. All right, so that does it for our overview on navigation. Again, if there's anything that I didn't cover that you have questions on, please submit them in the Hangout on Air, and I'll do my best to come back in at the end, and we can actually talk about them. Let's actually go through a campaign creation flow and see how things work. So I'm just going to type GC, which is going to take me to, oops, a new version is available. You can see we are making the new AdWords experience better literally as we speak. Just give it a second here. Now's a good time to get some of those questions in. Perfect. All right, so we've landed back on our campaigns page within the account. Again, I got here just by easily typing GC. And I'm going to click on the plus icon to create a new campaign. Now we have two options here. We can either create a new campaign from scratch, or we can create a new campaign from other campaign settings. In this case, to make it easier for you, we're going to just do a new campaign from scratch. And then we can kind of walk through all the meaningful steps. Now you'll notice that we've sort of condensed some of the campaign types. So campaign subtypes aren't existent in the new AdWords experience. We're going to talk about some of the things that you can do during the campaign creation flow, but we've tried to condense this just into 5 simple types. We'll click on Search Network here and get started. And you'll notice that all campaigns now have marketing goals or marketing objectives. These are goals that we are trying to drive with the campaign that we're setting up. And these goals that you set here can be used for Google to help drive meaningful suggestions on what you might want to do with the campaign. So for instance, if you were to choose Call Your Business, we might recommend something like a call bid adjustment, that new bid adjustment that we'll be talking about during the next session. For now, I'm going to opt to not use goals, just to make it a little bit easier. And we'll keep it nice and simple with www.google.com as our website. And just so I don't get any weird calls, I'll just use 555. It's my phone number. Now, I love bakery campaigns. I'm really good at making bakery campaigns because mostly all that I think about is actually like eating cupcakes or cake. So we'll make this campaign JM's Bakery Campaign. And we'll get started. You'll see that many of the options that we had in the previous AdWords experience are the same as in the new AdWords experience. So being able to select, for instance, which networks you want your ads to appear on within the search networks is still available. So we can choose to include or not include Google search partners. You might have noticed, though, that we didn't have a campaign type for search network display with display select. That campaign subtype has actually been changed to an ad display network opt-in here within the search campaigns. So in this case, we'll go ahead and choose not to opt in to the display network on this campaign. And we'll continue down along our way. Now, my account here is set up for the United Kingdom, so we got the recommendation of United Kingdom. Instead, we'll target all countries and territories because I'm a global baker. Language settings and bidding settings are largely unchanged within the new AdWords experience. But one thing that I do want to highlight here is that we've tried to make the new experience more helpful and guided for you. So you may have noticed as we've been going along that there are a series of question mark icons. When you hover over those question mark icons, you'll get a brief snippet explaining what this functionality or feature is. In the event that that snippet is not enough to actually understand what's going on, you can always click on Learn More. And a help center actually will pop out of the right-hand menu and allow you to continue to read and do additional research on the feature that you may be looking at. Now, if for some reason you can't find the right Learn More option, you can always come up to the question mark and actually click Get Help. That's going to open up just the broad help center, and then you can actually go ahead and do your search as needed. So let's just leave it as manual CPC with enhanced CPC enabled. We'll come down to budget, and I'll just put in a $15 a day budget here. You could apply from shared library if needed, but in this case, I don't think it's necessary. We've tried to condense the campaign creation flow to make it a little bit easier and a little bit smoother. And so as we create the campaign, we'll actually have the option to add extensions. You can see here we have the option for 3 different extensions: site links, call out, and call extensions, and to enable dynamic search ads if that's something that we're interested in. In this case, let's actually add a couple of extensions here because it's going to do some pretty cool stuff later on. So add a call out extension. We'll do a new one. Oh, actually, I had one in there that was fine. It was buy local baked goods, even though I said I was a global baker. And we'll also add a call extension. We'll choose this 555 number. Cool. If we wanted to add additional extensions, we could click on additional extensions here, and you can see that everything becomes available underneath that. Everything that's available on the network that we're looking at and in the region that we're looking at. And then we have our typical ad rotation, ad schedule, location option settings, and campaign URL options. So saving and continuing into the ad group creation. Oops. We'll call this James Bakery Campaign 2, B2. Now, we've also tried to make ad group creation and ad creation a little bit easier. So I apologize here. Looks like we're really robustly updating the new AdWords experience today. All right. So during the campaign creation flow, we actually have the ability to add multiple ad groups and multiple ads at the same time. If you just give me 1 second here to get back to the page that I was on, then we'll be in good shape. We'll skip over some of the extension additions that we had. Now, within the new ad group creation flow, you can see here that we can set up multiple ad groups at the same time. So sticking with our bakery example, let's do one ad group for cupcakes with a default bid of $2. And let's do one ad group with cakes, also with a default bid of $1. Now, in the new flow, we can search and get keyword ideas right here during the creation. So let's say that we are cupcakes.com, and our product or service is cupcakes. We hit enter, and we should get some keyword ideas here in a moment for keywords that we can add. So chocolate cupcake, Easter cupcake, simple cupcake recipe, cake delivery, just adding in a couple keywords here. You'll see on the right-hand side that we actually have a traffic estimator showing us what we believe will be possible based on the default bid that we've given and the daily budget that we have, along with the keywords that we've just chosen. So in this case, our cupcakes ad group is slated to get about 5 clicks per day with an average CPC of 93 cents. I think this is pretty neat. It brings a lot of the functionality and feature from Keyword Planner directly into the campaign creation wizard, which is where you really need it, right? So let's say in this case, 10-inch sheet cake, layer cake, vanilla cake, and you'll see that as we add those keywords in, our estimates will reload, and we now understand that I'm not going to get many clicks on cakes, likely because I have a higher bid on my cupcake ad group, which is going to, pardon the pun here, cannibalize the cupcakes. So let's save and continue to our ad creation flow. Ad creation flow we've also tried to make easier and faster. So you can now create multiple ads at the same time during campaign creation, and you can do it using quick duplication. So let's take a look. We'll click on New Ad here, and we'll just use www.google.com/cupcakes. Headline 1 is going to be Get Your Cupcakes, and headline 2 is we have red velvet. Big red velvet cupcake can. And we need a description for this, so we'll just say we sell cupcakes. I obviously didn't get a job in ad writing for good reason. Now you'll notice here we have the ad created. We can either click to create a new ad, or we can actually duplicate this ad and then make some tweaks. So instead of red velvet, let's say we have vanilla. Now if you're following along on the right-hand side, you can actually see a preview of that ad as we're creating it. You can see this is mobile, and we can also do desktop. Now, depending on how many extensions you applied during the campaign creation flow, you actually see examples of the extensions here below. And so we'll actually go through. I'm just going to finish the ad creation process. We're going to go through and add a couple extensions right now, and then we'll come back to that ad creation to show what the difference looks like. Now, I can't find the extensions tab, or the extensions page, pardon me. I don't know where it is. I'm not very familiar with the new UI, so I'm going to check out what my keyboard shortcut is again for that. It's GX. OK, cool. Type GX. Great. I'm on the extensions. Wonderful. All right. On the extensions page, we have tried to make it easier to add extensions without flipping between different pages and different levels. So you can see here we have all of the different extensions that are available to us at the top level, and we can click and add any of them quite easily. So let's add that callout extension back in. In this case, we'll say buy local baked goods. Nope, no exclamation point. That's just bad habits. We'll add a call extension again. In this case, I'll just type in a new phone number. Notice we can also add a call bid adjustment here directly. Again, we'll talk about that during the next session. And you can see that as we, not supported for this country, of course, because we know it's not real. Now, as we do this, you should be noticing that if we go back and create new ads, the preview for these text ads is actually going to show more and more of our extensions as we create them. So you can have a real live view of what the ad looks like as you're building your campaign. All right, so that's pretty much it as far as campaign creation goes. Again, I didn't cover here display campaigns or video campaigns or shopping campaigns. Those flows are largely the same as they were historically. But again, if you have particular questions, please submit them through the Partner Academy live stream, and I'll do my best to go back and answer them at the end. Before we wrap up today, I want to talk a little bit about reporting actionable insights and all of the different type of new reports that we have in the UI. So I'm going to change my date range here to be easy to read. And I'm going to scope back to all campaigns, so regardless of whether they're search, display, shopping, video, etc. The first page that I want to take you to is the overview page. The overview page is a really nice drop page to kind of get a high-level read of how the account is performing. You can see here we have 4 high-level metrics at the top, which we can turn on or off as we care. And we can also modify the different metrics that we're reading out on. So if we're more interested in cost, then cost per view, then we can layer in cost. And we can get a view here for the time period that we're looking at to understand how well we're doing. In this case, you can see that it's segmented or looking granularly at different weeks, but we can also modify to months, quarters, and days. If we were looking at a year's worth of time, we wouldn't have the option to look at hourly or daily, of course, because that would be too granular to actually be useful. You'll notice that based on the time that we're looking at, you're actually getting information about the different campaigns' performance within the account. So in this case, we have 4 insights cards. We have our biggest changes, which is comparing January 1, 2015 to January 1, 2016 to the time period from December 31st, 2013 to December 31st, 2014. In this case, we're looking at impressions and impression growth between those 2 periods. Again, we can change this metric to be something that we care about, potentially views, potentially clicks, potentially cost. On the right-hand side, you have the campaigns. And here, again, you can sort by the metrics that you care about. So if you want to see which campaign has spent the least, we can do a quick refresh here. Now, the Overviews tab or page is actually scoped, again, to the level that we're looking at. So depending on whether you're looking at search campaigns, display campaigns, shopping campaigns, or video campaigns, you're going to see different insights cards. So if we pop over to display campaigns, you'll see that we actually have a helpful notification widget about the status review of the campaigns that are displayed. And you can also see that we're reading out here on demographics, which is something that may not be as important on the search network. If we pop over to the video campaigns, you'll see that you'll get a readout on your audience retention across your video. And again, some demographic information. These insight cards can be really cool and really helpful, particularly if you've been running campaigns for a long time and you just want to drop in and check in on how things are going. But for more granular reporting, we've placed all of our reporting into the Reports tab in the upper right-hand corner. So you may be familiar with the Dimensions tab in the previous AdWords experience. Dimensions have been moved to this tab in the upper right-hand corner and renamed to Predefined Reports. So these predefined reports will open based on what you're looking for in the AdWords Report Editor. So let's pop into the AdWords Report Editor for 1 second and just showcase what it is. And then we'll actually go through the creation of a predefined report and a dashboard that you can share with your clients or customers. So the Report Editor is a nice visual way to create a report that you might care about. We'll start out with a table, and I'll showcase how we can switch it over to a different view in a few seconds. So let's say that we wanted to have an easy report looking at our campaigns and our clicks and our impressions. Now, you'll notice that we have a lot of campaigns that don't have any clicks or impressions. Makes sense because we are not really using this account for advertising. It's just testing. So we're going to apply a filter here to clicks to say that the number of clicks needs to be greater than or equal to 1. And you'll see, actually, we only have 4 campaigns that meet this criteria. Again, it's a relatively small campaign. So we now understand our clicks and our impressions on these different campaigns, but it's not very visually pleasing. So what we can do is we can actually change this from a table to a bar chart. And just like that, we have a more visual representation of what's going on in our campaign. We can change our date range up here to impact how the report looks. But let's just say we wanted to save this as campaign performance report. Maybe this is something that we really care about. And we're going to save it. Note that we can also download and schedule the report as needed. Let's do the same thing with a predefined report here quickly. We'll take a look at a geographic report, which will help us understand which regions we are doing the best in. Again, we're going to filter here to just regions where we have greater than or equal to 1 click, so that's a little bit easier to read and understand. I guess that was a bad idea. So we'll remove that filter. And instead, we'll do regions with greater than or equal to 1 impression. Now, again, if we're looking for a pivot table, this is pretty easy to read through. But if we wanted to visualize this and send it to an end client, we might choose to do a bar chart again, in which case we might want to see our region, our clicks, and impressions. Note that you can add up to 3 metrics here to do the read. So this visual guide will give you a sense of what's going on in different regions for where your ads are running. And as with our last one, we'll save this as geographic performance report. Having a little trouble typing today. And what I want to showcase to you now is how easy it is to group these reports together and share them on a regular basis. So we'll pop over to dashboards in that reporting tab. The idea of dashboards is to be able to show on a visual level up-to-date metrics at a glance. So we'll create a new dashboard, and we'll actually choose to just add a couple of the reports that we've created here. So we have our campaign performance report. We'll add it in. We can add a description if we want to, but we don't need to. Let's click and resize this a little bit because it's hard to read right now. Oops. Little misclick. There we go. Let's also add in that geographic report. And then let's go ahead and save our dashboard. We'll name this Partner Academy dashboard. Save. And now you can see that it loads here accordingly. So we can change our date range. Let's say we wanted to just look at today. Let's say we wanted to look at yesterday. Do apologize for some of the trouble we're having here. The cool thing about these dashboards is we can schedule them to run. We can download them to PDF and send them to our clients. And we can continue to pull them and review them as needed. So as far as reporting goes, that's pretty much it. I'll just click back here to showcase that PDF functionality. We'll use this custom dashboard I built earlier today. And if we click on download, it'll prepare the dashboard based on the most up-to-date information that we have. You can see here it downloaded. And if we open it up, then it's a nice PDF that we can send out to our clients. All right. So that's pretty much it. As far as the navigation ideas go, the reporting goes. I wanted to talk about manager accounts, but I think we're running a little bit close to time, and I want to make sure that we get to all of your questions. So instead of talking about manager accounts, we're going to push that into the next session. And if we can just pop back over to our slides here. What we're going to cover next time are exclusive features in the new AdWords experience. We're going to talk about what's moved and where it moved to. We'll talk about some troubleshooting. And like I mentioned, we'll talk about those manager accounts as well, because there are some pretty cool new and exclusive features that are there, particularly around reporting. So I'm excited to talk about that with you guys next time. With that, why don't we switch over to our questions. But before we do that, one last thing. There's a series of resources here on our slides that you can see. I mentioned that guided tour for you. You can find it under the help icon at any time. Our help center is being updated as we continue to roll out new features in the new AdWords experience. So please check out the help center if you have any questions. There are also a series of help guides, videos, and e-learnings that are becoming available as we continue to roll out the new experience. So with that, thank you so much for your time. Let's flip over to our questions, and we can get started there. It looks like we've got some good ones here. All right. So the first question comes from Joe. He asks, you mentioned that the existing AdWords interface is not going away. Does that mean that there will be continued support for the previous interface even after the new interface officially goes live? So yes, for some period of time after the new AdWords experience is rolled out, we will continue to support the previous AdWords experience. We don't have a particular date to announce at this time around when the previous experience will be sunset and go away. Question from someone without a name. Are all the features available in the new interface yet? So I mentioned this a couple times during the presentation and the demo. You can see that there are some features still missing. Things like the search attribution tab, for example, will take you back to the previous AdWords experience to use it. There are a series of smaller features, but at this point, the majority of features should be available. So I would encourage you to jump in there, test it out, play around. And if there's anything that you really can't find, again, please drop some feedback for us, and we'll make sure that we get it there. The next question from Rob is, will Google Analytics columns be available in the new UI? This goes right back to the question before this. Yes, Google Analytics columns will be in the new UI. They're not there presently, but should be there in the coming weeks or months. Actually, lots of questions on these missing features. So is there a reason why certain column metrics are missing? This all goes back to what I just mentioned. The new AdWords experience is a beta experience. We're trying to roll it out to you guys so you feel comfortable with it as the features are coming. So Google Analytics metrics like bounce rate, total conversion value, et cetera, should be available shortly. Question from JP. Any scheduled changes to the AdWords Editor UI as a result of the updated UI? So I'm not sure, JP, if you downloaded AdWords Editor 12. It launched a couple months ago, maybe 2 months back. And it was a pretty significant UI update to AdWords Editor and contained a lot of pretty cool new features. I would definitely recommend that you check that out. But aside from those kinds of normal updates and the normal update cadence that AdWords Editor has, there aren't scheduled any changes to the UI based on the new UI on the web interface. Next question from Scott. When you add display, are you selecting the same campaign type as search with display select, or is it a full search and full display campaign? This is a great question. I actually am not the right person to answer this question. I don't want to misspeak and misguide you. So what I can do is come back and answer you guys a little bit later on this and make sure that we get you the right answer. Question from Julia. Where did the detailed totals disappear from the campaign, ad group, and keywords tab? Looking for the same totals features that were available in the old UI. So let me just pop back over into the demo here. And I'm going to actually go back to the previous AdWords experience. I believe that what Julia is asking, and if this isn't the right answer, Julia, please ping us again and let us know. I believe that what Julia is asking is, where is the total filtered row on the different pages that we care about? So in the UI, when we pop over to the Keywords tab here, if we add in a filter, we'll just apply one of these saved filters, keywords below first page bid. You can see that there's a row called total all filtered keywords. If this is what Julia is asking about, then the answer is that this should be coming shortly to the new AdWords experience as well. We're aware that this is not there right now. Again, it is a beta experience, and we're working on bringing all those features to you as quickly as possible. So if that's what the question is referring to, then it should be there in the near future. If the question is asking about something different, again, please shoot us a note and let us know that there's some clarification needed. Question from David. I've noticed pages frequently take 10+ seconds to load. Is anything being done to improve performance? So we are monitoring performance on a regular basis. We want to make sure that the new experience is snappier and faster than the previous experience, and that's the goal that we've set for ourselves. You noticed today that there were a couple hiccups in the live demo that we were doing. You noticed that we continue to get messages saying, a new AdWords experience is available, please refresh. That's a sign that we are continuing to roll out product updates in order to both launch new features and also make the UI faster than the previous UI. So this is a great question. Again, I do apologize for some of those hiccups. We've done this demo multiple times, and I've never quite had so many pushes during a demo. But I can say that we're working on this, and our goal is to make the new AdWords experience faster than the previous AdWords experience. Will date range comparisons be available in the new reporting interface? So this is a great question. Date range comparisons are available on the Overviews tab simply by looking at the date picker. So sorry, again, let's pop back over to the demo. I'll switch over to the new AdWords experience here. And once it loads, you'll see that in the date picker in the upper right-hand corner, we have the ability to compare to different time range. So in this case, our time range for the first comparison field is January 1, 2015 to January 1, 2016. And our second is December 31st, 2013 to December 31st, 2014. If we apply this, then you'll see on the Overviews tab a series of, the Overviews card, a series of dotted lines will appear to help us compare that performance. So you can see, in this case, we're comparing cost, average position, clicks, and views. And the solid lines represent the period that we'd selected in the first range, and the dotted lines represent the information that we'd selected in the second range. I believe also that this time widget, when you set this comparison, does inform what the biggest changes compares to. Great question. How can you show the reports of only certain campaigns? All right, sorry to keep popping back into the demo. On the report editor, as you're building a report, you'll notice that there are a series of metrics and functions that you can use to either add to the report or filter on the left-hand side. So you can see here level of detail is an option. What we can do is we have two options. We can either click on filter over here and then add in the particular campaign that we want to filter to, campaign name or campaign. This should allow us to include or exclude certain campaigns. Or we could actually click and drag this over into the filters, I believe. So that's the way that you can control the campaign, the ad group, the ad, the keyword that you want to report on appropriately. And when we talk about this report editor for manager accounts, you can also choose certain accounts as a whole to report on, as well as the campaign level filter functionality. A great question. We're almost at the end, so if you have any of those burning questions, please get them in now. There's 3 left. Will the AdWords app be updated? I assume the question here is referring to the mobile app. The mobile app has actually been updated largely to this UI, and I think actually received some of the push on that early. So if you haven't updated it, go ahead and give it an update and check it out. Next question is, considering the saved columns from the previous UI will not be transferred to the new version, will there be the option for a shareable template of custom column sorting across the various sections in an account, e.g. campaign, ad group, etc., but also different accounts? Ooh, that's a great question. It's a little bit more complex than I think that I can get into here on the air. I believe that we will be transferring some saved columns from the previous UI to the new UI. So keep your eyes peeled for what that plan looks like as we get closer to launching the new UI. As far as shareable templates go, shareable custom columns across different accounts and different accounts within an MCC, I'm not 100% sure what the roadmap looks like for that. Again, I'm happy to take this as a note to get an answer to offline and report back later. And I'm getting a note from my team that that's it. So I think that we are in good shape. I appreciate everybody joining in today, asking great questions. I don't know how many of you are out there, but you've been a great audience for this. And I had a lot of fun doing the demo. So thanks again. Tune in next time when we talk about manager accounts, features that are exclusive to the new AdWords experience, what's moved and where, and any kind of troubleshooting questions that you have. Go in there in the next week, explore the UI, feel it out, and bring those questions back, and we'll do our best to answer them. Thanks.